Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a story time of my C-section experience slash my C-section experience. Let's just go with that. Okay, now before I do get into it, I just want to say I'm not going to go super into my son's condition just because it's really nobody's business. Me as his mother, I am his sole caretaker and I do a great fucking job. So nobody can tell me otherwise. You guys can say whatever you want in the comments, but at the end of the day, delete, block user from channel, because some of your guys' assumptions that I've seen on my stripper vlog, my Q&A about the stuff you see in the background is way off. Like, here's him in his condition, and here's you guys with your assumptions. Like, out this bitch. So yeah, gonna get into it now. Okay, now when I was about 24, 25 weeks pregnant, I did find out that he was going to have a condition that might hinder my pregnancy and it might cause him to be premature. So I did set up a couple appointments, one of them that was to be marked at my 32 mark to see how he was doing and whether or not he was going to be induced, well, I was going to be induced early and he was going to have to be born, or whether he had a higher chance of being born prematurely on his own, as well as during my 32-week period, I actually scheduled 2 different appointments. That appointment, which was to see basically a checkup, see how he's doing, and from that 32-week mark, depending on how he was doing, I was going to either have him that day if they believed that he was not going to be okay, or from that day on they were going to have me do a checkup every single week to check his growth and just to make sure that he was okay. So along with that appointment, I also set up a 3D appointment because I really wanted 3D pictures, as well as my pregnancy pictures, my maternity pictures, which I was super excited for. Basically all of those planned out, just basically with the intent and speaking into the universe type thing that he would be okay, that I would go into my appointment, he would be growing fine, he'd be doing great, I'd be, you know, on schedule, nothing would be wrong, and then I would go to my 3D appointment later that week, and then I'd have my pregnancy pictures and la da da da, handy dandy. Comes February 24th, I'm working at Pink, and I think I worked like a full 8-hour shift that day, or a pretty long shift just because it was Saturday, and I think we were busy at the time. And I will never forget, I was telling my manager, I was explaining to her what Braxton Hicks contractions were, because I just kept getting them, like, throughout the whole span of the day. I remember I'd be on the sales floor, like, talking to people with, you know, my little belly. My belly was so tiny, wobbling around with my little belly, and I would just be like hella shit, because like that shit hurt, but it was just like so little, like it was just like this little tiny sparks of pain random here and there. And I just remember thinking, wow, like I cannot even imagine how real contractions are gonna feel, because like this shit hurts. And you know, if you don't know what Braxton Hicks contractions are, they're basically fake contractions. So I was feeling those all day, and you know, I'll never forget, randomly I was telling my manager, like, I keep having fake contractions, and she was looking at me like, okay, like, look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, like, this is a real thing. So yeah, then I got off work. I remember I went to In-N-Out, I went to Concord, and my day just went on. So then night comes, I go to sleep, get ready for bed. I wake up at 5 in the morning and I have this huge urge to pee. Like, I mean huge. Like, I've never felt like I had to pee that bad. Like, my bladder was literally about to explode. So the bed is kind of set up, at the time the bed was kind of set up like this, and I would always sleep on the side furthest to the door. So I get up and I get about probably to like the corner of the bed, like, you know, the door's pretty much over there, and I get to the corner of the bed and it just, and I mean like, and I'm standing there and I'm wearing these little cheetah pajama pants, and they're soaked, and I'm just like, and then I'm like thinking to myself, Did I just piss myself? I'm 19 and I just pissed myself. I just pissed myself. And so I walk a little bit and it just keeps coming out. So I'm thinking, well, damn, how bad did I have to pee? Because Lord Jesus, like, it's just coming out. Like, it's just like gushing out like a waterfall. I'm a fountain. I'm a fountain. So I like am walking closer to the door as it's just like dripping out of me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like, did I pee? I'm so confused. Like, did I pee myself? I was so dumbfounded, like taken back, like everything. So I wake my ex up and I'm like, I think I just peed myself. And he's looking at me all types crazy, like, okay, well, why the fuck did you wake me up for that? Like, and so I'm like, wow, to the bathroom. And so I get to the bathroom and I'm sitting on the toilet and it just keeps coming out. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so I start Googling, like, you know, how do you know when your water broke? Because now I've gotten, once I'm on the toilet and it just keeps coming out, I'm kind of coming to the realization, like, oh, I think my water broke. Like, I'm pretty sure my water broke. But I mean, I had still been so early that I was like confused, and nobody ever really told me what your water would breaking would feel like, type of thing, or the fact that it would just keep coming out, like coming. I'm sitting on the toilet Googling, like, how do you know when your water broke? And I go to wipe just to try to clean myself up a little bit, especially because, like, mind you, I'm still in my pajama pants and they're pulled down, but my thighs are completely soaked. So I go to wipe and I look at the toilet paper and there's green stuff all over it. And so now I'm really taken back. Like, so I call my mom. That's the first person I always call, my mom. So I call my mom and I tell her what's happening, and she's like, your water's broken. Like, your water's broken. You need to go to the hospital right now. So then I'm like, because, you know, if mama says so, then mama says so. Like, mama's always right. So my water's broken. They're there to find out it's just your mucus plug, which can happen when you are in labor. Sometimes it comes out on its own. Sometimes it doesn't. So I walk back to the room, as to which it's still kind of dripping. Like, it's not obviously coming out as it was before, like a lot, but it's still kind of dripping out. I called the advice nurse line, and of course she told me to head over to the hospital, and of course the one of which the city that I was living at. We get in the car and we're headed to the hospital, and as we're headed to the hospital, I get a call from the nurse saying, oh, no, don't come. And I'm like, And she's like, I just pulled up your medical record and you have a high-risk pregnancy, so you need to go to a different Kaiser. I had actually known that I was going to have to give birth at a different Kaiser. However, I was under the assumption that I would get to the Kaiser in my city and then they would have me transported, usually because the transports can be a little faster. Well, probably not faster than my ex, but faster. And on top of that, if something went wrong, I would have the medical attention that I need around me to help me out. But no, the nurse said to just basically change my direction and go to the other Kaiser. Mind you, the other Kaiser, it's about an hour away, so I was kind of freaking out, but at the same time I try to keep as calm as possible. I start Googling the address and she gave it to me. She said 1600 Eureka Road. So I put in 1600 Eureka Road, and I'm shaking. Like, I mean, I'm shaking at this time. So I literally click on the first one that I see and I head on my way. And when I click on it, you know, it tells you how long it's going to take before you actually click on it and start your journey. So I clicked on it and it said about like an hour and a half or something like that. So I told my ex, and he starts driving, and we're taken in these like back roads, which is super strange because to get to that Kaiser in the other city, you usually take the freeway. So he's kind of confused. He's like, oh, this is weird. Like, I've never been taken this way before. I've never been to this city and, you know, this road. And I'm just sitting here like, and when we had left the house, I actually wasn't having any contractions. It was purely my water had broken, and that was literally it. My mucus plug was coming out, and that was it. But I remember as I'm talking on the phone to the nurse, I asked her, like, should I be in pain? And she said, don't worry about that right now. Just get over there as fast as you can. So I was like, okay. So we're on our way, and he's in some strange back roads, and we're just driving, listening to the GPS, whatever. We're just going. And as we get closer, my contractions are getting worse and worse. So by the time we're maybe like 20 minutes away, I'm holding onto the seatbelt, like strapped around me, literally like. And I also had this app opened, this baby, what was it called? I do not remember for the life of me what it was called, but it was used to not only track my pregnancy, but track my contractions once my labor came. So I'm tracking my contractions, and you know, there went from being like 10 minutes apart to being like 3 minutes apart. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, as I see like the 3 minutes, you know, coming up, I'm just like ready for it to hit me, and it's just getting worse and worse. And I just remember having this feeling like he was going to come out of me any second. I legitimately was thinking, oh my God, he's going to just pop out. Like just bloop. He's just gonna be like, bloop, hey mom. And it was literally the worst pressure I've ever felt in my life. Like from the inside out, I felt like there was a rock just banging in my like private area. Like any minute he's gonna come out. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like trying to, you know, keep calm while also holding on to the seatbelt for dear life. Like every time a contraction came, I'm sitting there like. So we're starting to get closer and closer. My contractions are just getting worse and worse, and it starts to get super, super dead. And by dead, I mean we're like in the middle of nowhere. And it's just super strange because the Kaiser that we're going to is in a city. I mean, just driving there, you're driving by different cities. So we're both kind of confused. He's mainly confused because he's actually very good with directions. So he's like, okay, this is weird. Like, this isn't right type of thing. Like, you know, I've never been through the back roads to the city. Like, now we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, what the heck? So we just keep listening to the GPS. We keep going. And next thing you know, we're 5 minutes, and it looks like we're approaching this little ghost town, literally a ghost town. And next thing you know, we're there, but we're not there. We're in a freaking ghost town in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, it says you have arrived, and we pull up, and we're in front of nothing that looks like Kaiser. We're in front of this dead little like house, like an abandoned shitty creepy house that you would see in a horror movie, like Jeepers Creepers. So he's looking at me like, okay, what the fuck, Vanessa? And I'm sitting there like hella confused, but also like, oh my God, like I'm in pain. And he's like, check the address. So I checked the address, and little do I know, I clicked on 1600 Eureka, but I clicked on the wrong town. So as you know, when you look something up and you put in the address, multiple addresses will come up from multiple cities, because of course different addresses are in different cities. So instead of clicking on 1600 Eureka Road, Roseville, I clicked on 1600 Eureka Drive or something else, and I don't even know what. I mean, if you guys probably Googled it, you could probably find it, little ghost I'm talking about. But I apparently clicked on the wrong one, and we ended up in Ghost Town. So we're like freaking out. I'm freaking out. He starts yelling at me, and I'm crying, and I'm yelling back, like, don't yell at me, I'm pregnant, I'm in labor, don't yell at me. And so at that point, we're just like, okay, you know what? Like, let's just get back, get this situated. Like, my contractions are getting way worse, and way closer. I feel like I'm ready to freaking pop. And so we start heading back, and we had no service. When I say we had no service, I mean literally no service on my phone. So I'm trying to GPS how to get back as he's like kind of turning around, and it's just not working. And so at this point, I'm literally freaking out, and I told him, I looked at him and I said, should I just call 911? Because for me, the best situation is 911 comes in their ambulance, takes me, and then we go. And he's looking at me like, no, because by the time a freaking ambulance gets here, it's going to be hours, and you're probably going to get births on the side of the road. So I'm just sitting there like, why would you even say that? So we don't call 911. I don't call 911. He, like I said, he's very good at directions, so he was actually able to turn around and basically retrace his steps, which I would have never been able to do. I would have ended up in another ghost town. So he was able to do that, and while he was doing that, the nurse calls me as soon as I get service. And she had been calling me multiple times, but I wasn't getting the calls because I didn't have service. So as soon as he turned around and we were able to get like a little glimpse of service back, I'm getting her call, and she's asking me, where are you? Because an hour and a half had already passed. I should have been there about 30 minutes ago. So I'm like, we're lost. I put in the wrong address and we ended up in, I don't even remember the town. And she's like, oh no, like, are you okay? Like, how do you feel? And I was telling her how I felt, and she's like, okay, we'll just get here as fast as you can. Like, I'll let them know. So that was that. And then I was getting calls from my sister and my mom, because as soon as I had went into labor and I told them that, you know, my water broke and I was on my way to the hospital, they all came. They all rushed. They were not living in Roseville. However, my sister was living about 20 minutes away and my mom was living like 40 minutes away. So they both rushed, and both of them had beat me there, obviously. So they're calling me like, where are you? Are you okay? And I'm like, we got lost. And he's like, we didn't get lost. You put in the wrong address. And I'm like, we got lost. So that was that. We're on our way back, and we finally get there. And once we get there, I am just like in pain. And I think after that, I actually felt like I was able to tolerate it more than before that whole situation happened. And I honestly think it was probably all the adrenaline and just the anxiety, like almost telling me like, okay, you need to chill out. And it was just that kind of taking over the pain of the contractions themselves. So we get there, and I'm still in my Cheeto wet pajamas, so they're soaked. So not only am I wobbling because I'm pregnant, wobbling because I'm in pain, but also wobbling because I pretty much like, I felt like I had just pissed myself. So I'm like wobbling inside, and thank God we got a super good parking because it was still really, really early. When my water had broken, it was about 5 in the morning, and by the time we got there, it was like 8 in the morning, maybe even a little after 8. So that took forever. So we finally get there, and we got really good parking. We walk inside. They took me in right away, and I'm sitting in the room. Like, I only got to say like a little wave to my mom and my sister, and they're sitting on their chairs waiting, and my ex goes to check in and get a name badge and everything. So they put me in a room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like trying to figure out how to lay down, like to feel better, the best position for me to feel better. So I'm like trying everything. You know when you're on your period and you're just like trying different positions? Like, that was kind of me, except with the belly, so I had to be really careful. So I'm sitting there, and I felt like forever was going by. Like, why aren't you guys rushing in here and helping me? Because I'm in labor, you know? Like, I guess I watched too many movies because I was really thinking that everyone was going to run in and save me and I was going to give birth and la-da-da. But no, I was just sitting there forever in pain. Like, ladies, I am in pain. Help me, please. So finally, they come in and, you know, they start putting all this equipment on me and checking my blood pressure, and they put, I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it's, you know, they put it on your belly to monitor your contractions. They check his heartbeat, all that extra stuff. And they're doing all that, and about halfway through that, they let my ex sit in. So he comes in and he's holding my hand, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like they're getting worse and worse, and I'm just sitting there like squeezing his hand for dear life, like, oh my God, this hurts. And they put me on my side, and then at one point, I think the worst of it was when they actually reach into your coochie to see how dilated you are. And that was like the most uncomfortable thing ever, like so uncomfortable. And it's weird because at one point too, she swallowed my booty hole, and to this day I will never know why she swallowed my booty hole. So if any of you guys know why she swallowed my booty hole, feel free to tell me, because I'm very, very curious as to why she swallowed my booty hole. So I'm sitting there, I'm in pain, and all this medical equipment is on me, and there's like 3 nurses in there. And finally one of the doctors comes in, and that's when she goes to check how dilated I am, which, like I said, it was super, super, super uncomfortable. And I will never forget her face, because she checked and she looked at me and she looked at the nurses and she says, oh, you know, we're gonna put you in to have an emergency C-section right now. And I'm just like, You said what? So in a matter of like 5 minutes, probably less, they took stuff off me, put stuff on me, and they start wheeling me out, and I'm put into this really big, completely white room with just the table. And I remember them telling me to kind of get on the table, and I'm just laying there and I'm in pain, and I'm just like, how the fuck do you expect me to, like, can I have some help? Like, can't y'all just lift me and put me, like, so I managed to get on the table, and they tell me to get kind of in this butterfly position. If you know what the butterfly position is, you know, it's kind of like crisscross applesauce, but your feet are touching like this. So like that, except you're laying down. And now for me being pregnant and feeling all this pressure right down there, it was actually super, super, super uncomfortable. And so I sat like that. They told me to put my arms out, and so I did all that, and I'm just sitting in this position with my butterfly legs and my arms like this. And the anesthesiologist comes over to me and he says, okay, so we're gonna put this mask on you, and in a matter of a few seconds you're gonna feel very sleepy and you're gonna fall asleep, but I assure you everything will be fine and your baby's going to be okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, and I'm kind of looking around too, like, okay, where's my ex, like, where's my mom, where's my sister, you know? So they put the mask on me, and literally, like, I've never fallen asleep that fast. Literally, like, just like that. And it's so weird too, because like my throat, as I was breathing it in, it almost felt like my throat was on fire. Like, that shit kind of burned. So I knock out, and next thing you know, I'm awake in post-op, and I am in pain. Like, when I tell you I am in pain. And the strangest thing is just looking down and seeing that your baby's not there. Like, he's not in your tummy anymore. It's so weird, because, you know, I came in with this little round belly, and I woke up and bloop, it was like this little deflated thing, and he wasn't in there no more. And it's just so weird. I just remember thinking, like, oh my God, is he okay? Is he okay? And my mom was like, yeah, he's okay. And my ex, you know, woke up with my ex next to me, and they were like, yeah, he's okay. And they were just consoling me and whatnot. And I just remember being in so much pain, and a nurse came and they injected some shots into my hips, and literally, like, I could feel the pain just being flooded out of me. Like, it felt so good. Like, I felt so relieved. And at that moment I was just like, okay, like, well, where's my baby? Like, where is my baby? And I had known from my son's condition that I might not be able to see him or hold him right away, because he possibly would need surgery. So, you know, they told me that they took him into the NICU and that later on he was going to go into surgery. So I was very upset, because as a mother, your number one thing that you look forward to is holding your baby after he's born. And I wasn't able to do that. So that was like super, super disappointing. So I sat in post-op for a little bit, and then they finally took me up to my own room and on one of the different floors. And, you know, I got comfortable, and the nurses let me know, like, as soon as you're feeling pain above, like, you know, a 3 or a 4, call us and we'll give you, I believe it was like Norcos and ibuprofen. And then as well as that, I was taking stool softeners. So I called them a few times because it was very, very painful. And that was that. I sat in the room basically waiting to see my baby in pain. It was very, very painful. I think one of the more painful parts of like the recovery / sitting in the hospital was the nurses. Every now and then they come in and they push on the lower part of your stomach, and it is so painful because, mind you, like, I just got sliced open right there. You know, your uterus is just cut open. You literally just had a baby taken out of there, and they're over here pushing into it. And I totally understand, like, why they have to. But, like, I remember one of the times I literally started bawling my eyes out because it just hurt so bad. And she just pushed on it, and you know, she looked at me and she said like, oh honey, it shouldn't hurt that bad. And so, you know, she gave me more pills to take, and you know, I felt a little better, but it's like they wore off so quick and I was just, you know, in pain. So a couple of times I just kind of try to suck it up, because I'm not one either to try to be taking all these pills just to relieve the pain. Like, I don't like that. So I went through the day, and I think it was about 3 or 4 when I finally called down to the NICU and asked like, where is my baby? Because mind you, my son, he was born at 8:54. So it's 3-4 p.m. and I don't have my baby. So I'm just like, okay, like, where's my baby? Like, can I at least go down there and see him? And so I called down there and they say, oh, he's barely going into surgery right now. So I'm thinking, well, great. Like, it's going to be now, who knows how much longer until I see him. So I'm like, okay, wait, can you guys please call me when it's done? Like, please call me when it's done. So she's like, okay, yeah, you know, we'll call you, make sure that everything went okay. And I'm like, okay, great. So I'm sitting there, another couple of hours goes by, and next thing you know, they call me and they're like, oh, he's out of surgery, it went great. You know, if it's okay with your nurse, you're welcome to come down and come see him. So I'm crying. I'm just like, it went okay. And you know, my family in my room was just like, yay, like, great, you know, let's go down there. And I call my nurse and I say, my son's out of surgery, like, can I go see him? And she says, yeah, you can go see him if you can walk. Like, I couldn't even sit up. I literally could not even sit up. So now I'm like angry, and I'm just like, okay, so you're telling me I can't be wheeled down there? Like, so I'm so aggravated at this point. And I'm thinking, okay, I gotta walk, so I'll walk. So my whole family goes down there and sees him. My ex goes down there, my family goes down there, takes pictures, they come back up, and you know, they sent him to me, and I'm literally crying there sitting on my phone like, this is so unfair. Like, how is it that my family and everybody else gets to see my own baby before me? So I'm thinking, oh no, I'm getting up. So I sit my little happy ass up in pain, but I do it. And I tell the nurse, like, I think I can do it. I think I can, you know, stand up and walk. So the nurse comes in, and I sit up on the edge of the bed, which took like my mom helping me, my ex helping me, both of my arms. Like, they pulled me up, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, and I just remember standing up and completely falling back, and I just couldn't do it. Like, it just hurt so bad I couldn't do it. So she says, okay, like, we're trying a little bit, okay? And I'm just sitting there like, I don't want to try a little bit, I want to try right now. Like, throwing a big old baby, you know, fit. So she leaves, and then a little bit goes by, and I'm thinking, no, I'm gonna get up. So I call her and I say, come back, like, I'm gonna get up. So I pushed myself so hard, and I got it. And I stood up and I took a little baby step, and she said, okay, I'll take you down there. So they put me in a wheelchair. So I don't know the reason for me having to stand up was, but they put me in a wheelchair, and they bring me down there, and I got to see my little baby. And it was great. And it was just the happiest moment of my life, like, getting to see him. It was like the best thing ever. And so that was that. My little boy was born at 8:54 a.m., 4 pounds, 4 ounces. The C-section itself literally took like 15 minutes top. Literally, I went in there, they knocked me out, cut me open, took him out, took care of him, you know, closed me back up, and that was that. And, you know, he was born at 8:54, but I did not get to see him until 7:42 p.m. This is a little scrapbook I made, basically, of his whole time in the NICU, because he was in there for almost 6 months. And so I'm not gonna show you guys all the pages because, like I said, I don't want to get super into it, but this was just the day he was born, basically the best day of my life. And I saved all of his stuff. I still have his little name band. And I have my favorite thing in the whole wide world, his diaper that he wore when he was born, the preemie diaper. It's like literally the size of my hand. And anybody who knows me knows my hands are super tiny too. So, and then I have his little name tag that went on his crib. And I had his beanie somewhere, but that's rude. I saved literally all of my badges because at the hospital for the NICU, you need like special permission to get in. And so like you need a badge, and I would get monthly badges because I was there so often and so long. So I literally have all of my badges from when he was in there, even the little sticker ones, like the daily ones. I saved every single one. I went to visit him every single day of those almost 6 months. There was legitimately only 3 days out of those almost 6 months that I was unable to visit him. I literally cried when I couldn't go see him, like every single one of those 3 days. Like I literally bawled my eyes out. But other than that, I went to see him every single day. Like that was my #1 priority. In the morning, wake up, go see my son, and then whatever else needs to be done can be done afterwards. So that was my life for almost those 6 months, and that was my little C-section story. But yeah, like I said, you guys can definitely say what you want, but at the end of the day, I know how good of a mother I am, and I know how well my son is doing now, so that's really all that matters to me. But I just love hearing other mom C-section stories, or even just birth stories in general. I know a big controversy is that C-sections are the easier route, when, I mean, I've never had a vaginal birth, so I really can't compare the two. But regardless, I don't know why mothers need to compare whose struggle was harder than others. At the end of the day, if your baby's alive, then that's all that matters. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I love answering mom questions. Feel free to DM me on Instagram. Feel free to DM me on Twitter. And I hope you guys enjoy my little story, and have a great day.